Hey everyone, Kalen from White and Revery. We've been getting asked a lot lately about our color profile that we've been using on the GH5. We've filmed 2 weddings now, one that we filmed a few months back in New York, which was a lot of interior shots, a lot of interior locations and lighting. And then last week we had just filmed a photographer's wedding in Washington, and it was outside in the forest, a lot of greenery. And so we really wanted to make sure we had really good skin tone since we'd be shooting outdoors a lot. So the profile we shot with for our last wedding was a version of the natural profile. And I'm just gonna go over the settings with you guys on what we used and what we felt was really good for skin tone. So whenever we choose natural in the menu, we have about 5 different options that we can change. And the first one is contrast, and we set our contrast all the way down to -5. And then the next one is sharpness. And since we are using Voigtlander lenses, they are already somewhat creamy and soft a little bit. So we did not want to touch the sharpness on it because we felt like it was already sharp. It wasn't over sharpening. It felt like it was a good setting. So we kept that at 0. For noise reduction, we have played around with that. If you go all the way down to -5, you kind of get a really nice raw image, but we wanted a little bit more of the noise reduction added into it because it felt nice and soft. So we kept that around -4. -3 is also a good setting if you want to set it that way. For saturation, we set that to -2. And then the last one, we set our hue to -1. And the reason why we did that is we felt like the camera is already a little bit heavy on the greens and the orange tones a little bit, and this one kind of pushed it somewhat away from that, and I felt like it kind of balanced out the skin tone a lot. So those are our settings for the natural profile. That is what we shot the last weekend's wedding with, and we're probably going to be continuing shooting with it. It looks really great in camera, and then you don't have to do too much color grading, but it allows us to have a good basis for what we're going to be working with in post. Also, one thing that we've noticed is whenever we are looking at the screen and we are checking out our white balance and checking out our settings, we've noticed that the actual monitor on the GH5 doesn't seem to be calibrated properly. And what I mean by that is whenever I film something and bring that card into post-production and we look at that and compare it on screen, we notice that the colors do not match up quite as well. So we decided to go ahead and alter our monitor display, and you can actually change those settings in the menu. So whenever you go to your menu, and if you can look for monitor display, then I'm going to tell you guys what we currently have for our settings to adjust the monitor to get it fairly close to what it will be in post. We couldn't change our settings exactly the way it looks like in post, but we get them pretty close. So I was just going to share those settings with you. We have 5 options. You have brightness, you have contrast, saturation, and then you also have red tint and blue tint. So those are the options you can use to tweak the monitor screen on the GH5. Now with brightness, we went ahead and set that to -3, our contrast to +3, our saturation to -1, our red tint to +1, and our blue tint to -2. And once we set those settings, whenever we would film, most of the time, very close, we're getting the exact thing we're seeing on screen as we are getting on the card, so that when we bring it into post, it matches up fairly close. So those are some settings we wanted to share with you guys. If you want to follow along more, obviously please subscribe. We're going to be posting a lot more content coming up, especially if you want to know more about the GH5. Leave us some comments below or anything else you want to know, or any other hacks or other things that you like. If there's a profile you like, let us know too, and we'll give it a try. And thanks so much for watching.